Well, thank you so much for taking time to do this. We like to do this just as a short way to get to know the artists better, especially for patrons of ours that may be unfamiliar with some of the artists we have on this fall series. So I thought I would just ask a few questions about the group, and we can take it from there. So the first question for you is, I've seen some various terms used by publicists or in papers, and various quotes about Low Lily, folk and old time and bluegrass and various different words like this. And I'm just curious how you three yourselves describe your music. As a musician myself, I hate labels, but the audience kind of depend on them. So I was just curious how you describe the music that you're playing these days.
Yeah, sure. Well, we came up with a term a couple years ago, actually, to describe what we do, and it's American roots and branches, because that sort of encompasses the roots aspect of our music, but also that we branch out and incorporate other styles as well.
Oh, I love that. I love that because I've definitely heard the phrase American roots, but that's really amazing to include the branches as well. That's brilliant. A wonderful play on words. Can you tell me about some of the sources of your music? I know there's a lot of public domain pieces. I know you, of course, all have contributed your own pieces as well, but I'm just curious some of the origins of the traditional pieces that you have sourced.
Yeah, so we've gotten material before from, the Southern Appalachians, North Carolina, Madison County, that type of area. Also, Lissa Schneckenberger, the fiddle player, singer, songwriter with us, she has sourced a lot of material from New England. New England actually has its own traditional music. A lot of people don't know that. And she spent many years researching and reading in libraries and in Portland, Maine, and finding old sources of fiddle tunes and also songs too.
Yeah, wonderful. And you all met in New England, right?
Yes, yep, in
Wonderful.
Boston, and it's part of the greater kind of Boston acoustic music scene.
Sure, sure. So there's definitely a lot of New England influence in your music, of course, through not only the songs, but just that whole energy from from New England.
Yes, for sure.
Great, wonderful. What are some of the, or who are some of the artists that you find yourselves listening to a lot?
Oh gosh. We listen to everything. I mean,
Great.
we listen to music that you'd expect us to listen to, fiddle music and traditional music and folk music and Americana. But we also love, like, I've been having a resurgence of interest in 80s pop, and that's great for the long drives, which we will be having some of those on our way to Indiana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was actually what I was going to ask next is what you listen to on the road, but you answered that. What about the role of, if any, of classical music or chamber music? Do you listen to a lot of that?
Flynn is the one with the probably the biggest classical connection. He has a master's degree in composition from Dartington College in England, but he was more into the modern, more avant-garde and experimental music. So still a little left of center.
Does he? I know this would be a question for him, but since you play with him, I'm curious. Does he ever, or do all three of you ever bring in like elements of extended improvisation, or do you ever like take a traditional piece and like really make it wild or something?
Yeah, I mean we've pushed the boundaries a bit, and my husband Flynn is also my husband. He can tell you a little bit more
Great.
about the ways in which he does that. He's sort of the uber nerd of the band, and he'll be able to point to exactly the areas where we've done what you just said.
Yeah, yeah.
I probably couldn't recognize it as well as he can. Yeah.
Sure. And
Yes.
then this also would be, I guess, for Alyssa, but I'm curious if you can tell about. I know she went to NEC, so what was she studying there? Like, what other things was she exposed to? Was it like strictly classical, or was it the improvisation or jazz or?
Yeah, it was the improvisation, the contemporary improv
Sure.
degree. So what I've heard about that degree, it's an incredible program that you do a lot of world music study, and it's also about kind of finding your stamp, your style, your thing.
Yeah.
And so that's when she was still pretty steeped in the Scottish fiddle style that she had picked up with Alistair Fraser and the other Halele girls that she played in a band with, Hanukkah Castle and Laura Cortese.
Right.
But that's also when she turned her attention a bit more to the New England styles and her roots in Maine.
Yeah. Can you tell me about going to more recent things? Can you tell me about the remixed track that you have online?
Oh, you found that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is, yes, it is available on all platforms, and we released it digitally last year, and just to have something, a fun new project to sink our teeth into during the real lockdown time that was last year. Um, so Flynn and my son is we have an adult son, and he is a mix engineer and producer himself, and we wanted to get his input and see what he could do with a track of ours. And an agent we work with had suggested we try something with the song Dark Skies Again, which was recorded in a way more acoustic setting and more low lily-ish setting on our 10,000 Days Like These album. And so, so it took a while we played with a lot of sounds and a lot of ideas to come up with the sound of the remix. And I think it's really interesting and kind of takes things in a different direction. Also, another thing worth checking out is the animated video that goes with it.
Hmm.
Look on YouTube. We
Sure.
work with some great videographers at the team at Harvard Street Productions, and they made a beautiful animation
Hmm.
for that song. So that was a fun project to do.
Yeah. So, and then on that topic, unless if it's a secret, can you tell me about? Were there any other projects for Low Lily, or even just for yourself, or it doesn't have to be for Low Lily, but other projects that got started during the pandemic?
Yeah, so actually, I spent all of last year making a solo album, uh, which was my first solo album in 15 years. So that was kind of a big deal for me. And that came out in March 2021. And then also, Lissa has released several solo singles during that time as well, and music videos. So yeah, a lot of artists spent time doing the more introverted projects like recording and things like that during the pandemic that
Yeah.
we had all the time. It's like, well, we better make a record.
Right. And you were able to do that mostly at home, and like take everything
Yeah,
at home. Oh, that's
yeah. So we
wonderful.
did everything remotely, and I was working with an engineer actually a couple of engineers in the UK. So we were passing tracks back and forth over the ocean, and,
Yeah.
and then I had recording artists like Natalie Haas sending tracks in from California. So yeah, it was definitely like a full-on pandemic project in the sense that it was completely remote.
Yeah.
Um, but it was cool because with great engineers, you can still make the music sound like everybody's in the room together.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. And did you three take your hand at a live stream concert and do all that stuff too?
We did actually. We were part of a festival last year, a Quebecois festival
Hmm.
in Montreal, but we did that, yeah, like a video live stream. So that was fun, and yeah, we've all done we were actually quarantined from each other for a while too, so we
Oh,
couldn't do
wow.
it as a full band, but we did like a lot of individual live streams. So
Yeah,
that was fun. Yeah, it's easier. It was easier in the warmer months because we could live stream from outside, but
yeah,
once it got cold, we were kind of strapped there. But
yeah. Are yeah, are you in the same state with Alyssa, or same city, or?
she's right down the street.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I live in the same town, and she's walking distance. It's pretty
Oh,
cool.
wow. Yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty cool to have her as a neighbor. And we live in Brattleboro, Vermont, which is
yeah,
also a very vibrant music town.
right.
So there's musicians like every other house, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Okay, well, that's really helpful and wonderful information.